anytime, anywhere. No matter how safe you are or how cautious you are, car accidents do happen. And when an accident does occur, first responders and volunteer fire departments are notified, and they get to the scene as quickly as they can. But once they get there, what happens? Hi. Welcome to Around the Town with Marilyn Forbes. For today's special show, I'm going to be joined by some volunteers with the Bullskin Township Volunteer Fire Department and Fayette EMS. And they're actually going to do a mock accident scene where they're going to show you what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. So folks, sit back, relax, and enjoy this very special show. Okay, now to begin our very special show today, I have with me Kyle Quinn, who is the first assistant chief.
Correct.
And I also have with me Brad Gillott, who is the president and safety officer. Is that
Yes.
correct? Gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're very, very, very proud to have you with us today. And so let's start at the beginning with the equipment. What do we have that we're going to be using at our accident scene?
Okay. First off, we're going to be using a cribbing. What we do with this is stabilize the vehicle. We don't want any movement in the vehicle while the patient's in there, due to the fact we don't know what kind of injuries they have.
Okay, so stabilization is first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really all it is 4x4s, two 2x6s and some wedges that we can crib up and stabilize the vehicle to keep it from moving.
Okay, and they're all different sizes, I see,
Yes,
so it all
yes,
depends.
Everything's
okay.
different sizes.
All right.
So if we go back to the next compartment, this is just some quick response stuff, from hammers to chisels to even lawnmower blades that we could use to cut a vehicle apart with.
Okay.
Airbags that may be needed if somebody's pinned underneath. We use air bottle system to actually lift the vehicle up. It's an airbag. It'll lift. I'm not sure the weight capacities. Each bag's different depending on the size. So we can go back to the.
Moving back.
This is the hydraulic equipment we're going to be using, known as the Jaws of Life. These
The
are
Jaws of Life? Okay.
Yes, these are the hydraulic rams that we can use. They actually extend out to pry the dash apart, pry the doors, anything. O-cutters, that's used for cutting the metal, not spreading it. It actually just cuts.
Okay.
It will pierce it. Brad would probably be better off to tell you prices on this stuff, because
Yeah,
it's
you know
not
what, now
cheap.
excuse me, does every department have something like this? I mean, is this standard
This
for a
is standard
department?
equipment every department uses whenever they're doing rescue, responds to rescue calls. The units themselves, everything costs differently than what whenever we first purchase it, but the units themselves cost around $10,000, the power unit itself. Now the rest of the tools, the spreaders, the cutters, those can range anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 a piece.
Oh my!
So the stuff isn't cheap, obviously, but it's needed for any kind of rescue demonstration or anytime we do a rescue call.
Now, how long does something like I hate to say shelf life, but how long does a standard piece of equipment like that last a department?
The tools themselves get serviced every year.
Oh, okay.
And then the guys have to do weekly truck trips and have to go over the gear, make sure everything's in working condition, because you never know when the next call is going to happen. But we have backup system in case something happens to this system. We also have a portable unit on the other side of the truck.
Oh.
Or if we have to get down somewhere over an embankment or whatever that we can't get the truck close to, we can pull the portable unit and extend from there.
Oh, okay. Now we said there's a lot of different little things here, different sizes. So there's no such thing as like an average accident. I mean, you don't know what you don't know what to expect until you get there. So you're prepared for anything.
Correct. Each accident is completely different. Every scenario is completely different. The key every time whenever we have a fire call is if we have one of our line officers get there first and do a scene size up. That way we have an idea of what we're getting into. He can report back to the guys on the way to the call that we have this type of vehicle, this person's entrapped, or what we're going to need to do as soon as we get there, and we can just start pulling and have a general idea of what we have to do whenever we get there.
So naturally then speed is the essence as far as being able to tell what you're dealing with.
There's always the golden hour.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's your time frame of getting somebody out and getting them to the hospital.
Okay. All right. Now, do you want to step over and talk about some of these items over here? These are.
Tom Kendall, our rescue captain, is right here. He can go through some of that also. What we're going to be doing.
You, Tom?
How are you?
Hi. I guess you've been volunteered. Surprise.
I'm used to it.
Okay, you want to tell us a little bit, Tom, what's going to be going on here? What is this contraption?
This is our O cutters. This is what we use to cut the posts. They're called an A post, B post, C post. We cut those off to remove the roof.
Okay.
Our spreaders there, that's what we use, what a lot of people refer to as the jaws of life.
Oh, okay.
That's what we use to pop doors and get people out like that.
Now, something I really do want to point out to people is Brad's holding this like it's nothing. This weighs about, what, 50, 60 pounds? I mean, it's pretty heavy. You guys had me lift it up before.
This is Amcus. Some companies have Hearst. Hearst are a lot heavier.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, but we went with the Amcus system. And with this one also, we have slip knots that we can change out the heads on these. And
These actually come off. We can change.
Okay.
We can
change them around if we have to lift the vehicle real quick or do something in a
But
in
these
a
are
hurry.
heavy, though.
Oh, yeah.
And my point, what I think is amazing is a lot of times whenever you do see something, because when you see it on the movies or television, it's just so much different than what you're going to see today. But they pretty much fling them around like they don't weigh anything, and they really do. It's amazing how quickly these folks can use these and apply them to where they have to. Sure, let me try.
I'll hold this.
I know it's. Yeah, this is heavy. You can let go. Oh, now that's heavy. Wait a minute. Okay. Now, is this one as heavy, or is that just a little bit?
That's not as heavy. Basically what the biggest issue with this one is there's a lot of pressure behind it. The spreaders put out about 25,000 pounds per square inch, so they need to be a heavier construction, a heavier material. Whereas the O cutters, everything is confined to the head itself.
Okay.
They do the cutting. So that's the reason why they have to be so heavy.
What's that thing over there?
The bar there?
Yeah.
That's a Halligan bar.
Okay.
We can use that to try to give us what's called a purchase point.
Okay.
In between the fender and the door, and that'll open up enough of a spot that we can get our spreaders in to start the process of getting the door off.
And these are just some additional wedges that
Yeah, this is our cribbing. We'll be using that
Cribbing,
to
okay.
stick underneath the car. And what exactly is going to happen, we're going to put the cribbing underneath the car. Once everything's in there and stabilized and where we want it, then we're going to take the valve out of the tires. The air will go out of the tires, the whole car will drop down onto the cribbing. So everything will be stabilized.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Do you do that with with every vehicle accident? You take the air out of the
Yep.
tires, and that's really interesting. Is that a safety point? Like
it
just in
is,
case you
it
don't want that
is.
to happen while you're.
It is because with the air in the tires, it kind of bounces around a little
okay.
bit. You take the air out, so it's just sitting on the wheels themselves, so it's not as jerky.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other equipment or anything that we want to talk about before we go in? Because I want to chat with.
Anytime we're doing an accident, we also have a water line, just in case something out of the ordinary occurs, that the car might catch on fire or something. We also have a hose pulled, just for precaution.
Okay, our car's not going to catch on fire.
No, it's not going to catch on fire
I was
today.
gonna say, I didn't sign up for that. Okay, so then we're good with all the equipment?
Good for the equipment.
Okay, all right. I'm going to chat with the gentleman from Fayette EMS just for a couple of minutes, and then we're going in, and they're going to get me out. Stay tuned.
Armstrong Local Programming features our community like no one else. Meet your friends and neighbors at special events. Find the perfect pet. Celebrate our region's rich history or enjoy our natural wonders. Armstrong Local Programming is available online, on demand, and on your local Armstrong channel. Find the complete program schedule at ArmstrongOneWire.com. Local programming, exclusively from Armstrong. One Wire, infinite possibilities.
Okay, now before we actually go in and start our mock accident, we're going to talk a little bit with these two gentlemen who are graciously joining us today from Fayette EMS to volunteer their time as well. And we have Trey and we have Josh. And okay, now again, I will repeat, there's no such thing as an average accident. Okay, when you arrive at a scene, what do you do? Do you do an immediate assessment, or what do you do when you get there?
Or first thing when we arrive, we do a quick scene assessment, make sure everything's safe to go into. We get into a lot of stuff. We see a lot of stuff. Like you said, there's no accidents the same. We go over hillsides, we go into ditches, we go into cars into trees, everything. So what you want to do is make sure everything's safe first. Then that's when you start assessing your patient. You want to see, are they still conscious? Are they still with it? Can they remember anything? What happened? That's kind of like a crime scene investigator.
Oh, okay.
Kind of figure everything out, put the pieces together.
Okay. So then, now once you get them, say, out of the vehicle, then what do you do from there?
All depends on the type of injuries that they have. I mean, if they're having broken bones, you're going to splint them. Obviously, any person that's in an accident, we have them on a backboard with a collar to support their spine and neck. There's obviously injuries we can't see a lot of the times.
So you do that. That's like a gimme.
Yes, that's
okay.
a gimme.
All right.
Then depending on how they are, if they're awake, alert, and oriented, they can answer all the questions for us. It depends on who can take them in. The difference between a paramedic and an EMT. I can put them on a heart monitor, starting IVs on them. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I could be doing for them when we're transporting them to the hospital. And then we also determine, depending on the severity of their injuries, whether we're going to go to a local hospital or if we're going to put them in a helicopter and send them down to a trauma center.
So you make that determination when you're en route then?
No, usually we do it right there on the scene. Yep.
Right at the scene.
Yep.
Okay.
Because then we'll have to set a helicopter up somewhere to put them down on the ground and have the fire department actually with us with that to put them in a helicopter and send them down
So
to
then
a
what
trauma
we
center.
have in the back of one of these is like a pretty self-contained, there's...
Pretty much a mobile emergency room.
Really?
Yep, we have a heart monitor. We have all set up to do IVs and everything. We can actually breathe for somebody. We can intubate them, which is sticking a plastic tube down their throat to breathe for them. We can do all the splinting and everything if they have any broken extremities, arms, legs, anything like that to support that injury. And then obviously, like I said, with the mobilization with the backboard and everything on it.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, gentlemen, well, I'm going in. I guess I'll see you whenever you're putting me on that. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, all the guys we have are vehicle rescue technician training. It's a 48-hour class. Each one of them has to take to be able to even do rescue work on a vehicle. What he's doing now is gaining access to the patient so that EMS can get in there and determine what kind of injury she has while we start the extrication process. He has a neck collar right now he's going to put on her in case she has any type of cervical injuries. They're also going to cover her up with a blanket. That way if any glass or any pieces of metal were happen to fly, it's going to protect her as best we can. Other guys are working on the cribbing. They're going to crib it up, and then they'll actually pull the valve stems out so that the car will actually sit on top of the cribbing. Because what you don't want is a lot of movement just in case she has some type of spinal injury that could shift. So we want to keep her as stable as possible. Most of the guys, whenever they're going to the call, the line officer gets on scene and advises them of what we need and what we have. Our captains will let the rest of the guys know what they need to do when they get there. That way we have some type of a game plan prior to even arriving on scene. A lot of times when we are going to accidents, it could be in the daytime and all our guys have other jobs and other things. We don't usually have as many guys as we would have today. You might be working with 3 or 4 rescue techs at a time. Right now they're working on cutting the seat belt off so that they can get ready for extricating her once we get the door and the roof off. Cutting the battery terminals off is an important thing. You don't want any sparks. Obviously it was in a high-speed collision. There's probably going to be gasoline, oil, all kind of combustible materials. That's what the hand line's for on the other side of the vehicle. That's for patient safety and our safety for our guys as well. That's what the safety officers are constantly going around the vehicle, making sure that that he doesn't see any safety issues. Our captain too is cutting the windshield out. We have a windshield saw. It's just a saw. It does not break like the side windows. It does not shatter. It has a thin plastic layer inside of it to keep it from shattering. So it's a little bit more difficult to get out. That's why we have to use a saw on it. If you're ever in a vehicle accident, it's hard to keep calm, but that is the best thing that helps us out. It doesn't get our guys excited. Try to remain calm. You're going to hear all kinds of noises. It's very loud. Once these hydraulic tools start working, it's going to be very loud, and it would be a very scary situation. But the best thing for you to do is to stay calm during the whole process. These guys are trained to do what they're doing safe and protect you. So. Once they get the windshield removed, they can start taking the roof off. They'll start at the A post being at the front of the vehicle, and it goes in alphabetical order, A, B, C, toward the back. Once that windshield's opened up, you can see it comes off as relatively one big piece because of that plastic layer in between the glass. Right now what he's doing is trying to pinch it. As you can see in between the fender and the door, it spreads apart. We need enough access point in order to get the tips of the spreaders in. So he's squeezing it there to draw it open enough to get the tool in. A lot of times we'll do that. We can use a Halligan bar, which Tom has back there, to get a purchase point. Right now I don't know if you can see real well. They're going to start spreading the door open. Okay, as you get in here and see, you can see that they're trying. You need to get the purchase point. See how he has the purchase point there to get them in, and he'll just keep working it little by little. Those tools exert an extreme amount of force. Once he gets it opened up a little bit, he can keep going in and get it to pop open. As you can see, once it starts to go, it goes rather quick. That's how noisy. I mean, you're inside a vehicle. It's not going to be a pleasant experience, but it's something that has to happen. It's going to be a little bit loud. While they're working on the hinge side, they're trying to get the pin side opened. That's where the latch is. It actually latches around a pin. He's trying to pop that side right now. Once it pops off, the door will be done. As you can see, it's physical. It's a very physical job these guys are going through. It's a heavy tool. You're trying to hold it in an awkward position. While this is all going on, the paramedic in the back is he's actually assessing the patient while we're doing all this, so that they will be ready whether they need to call a helicopter in or if it's just going to be a local hospital ground transport. He's assessing all that while we're going through this process. So there's a lot going on at one time. You can just see the amount of force. Another thing you can take notice of is the vehicle, all that pressure going on it's really not moving at all with the cribbing underneath of it. It's actually sitting solid. Right now, our other captain, he is going to start taking the B post off, and we're going to start removing the roof. he has the O cutters.
Also, let them know about the airbags. Different vehicles have different airbags throughout the vehicle.
Yeah, some vehicles have side impact airbags. Obviously, the one in the steering wheel, the sensors are very sensitive in the vehicle. We want to make sure that we do not hit a sensor with one of the tools, because it can activate the airbag and it could hurt a guy that's bent over top of her, or even hurt her, you know, being in there herself. Piston is for the seat belt. A lot of seat belts have a piston in them. Whenever they're involved in an accident, that piston shoots to tighten the seat belt up. That's what locks your seat belt. They're just trying to make sure there's nothing in there that they're going to hit whenever he starts to cut. And we've slowed this down a lot for the guys so that you can get a better idea. Otherwise, somebody would have been cutting the door off, and we'd have had somebody cutting with the O cutters also. So there'd have been a lot of things going on at the same time, where we've slowed it down so that you can get a better understanding of how everything works. He'll cut the B-post completely off. That gains access to the patient even more. Technically, right now, we could probably extricate her and take her out with just having that post off. That just opens the entire side of the vehicle up to where we have a lot of room to work. They're actually going to flap the roof also. The more room that you can have to the patient inside, the more we can make sure that she gets out of there without moving her around. These tools are made to operate very slow, because if they were to open and close too quick, it can actually jar the vehicle and throw stuff. So that's why they move so slow, is to keep materials from flying. They're actually going to get a Sawzall to finish off the C-post in the back while they cut the other side off. We'll just take the roof completely off. Sometimes it's easier to just do that Now, if we need it, we could obviously take her out right now, but we're going to leave her in there till we get the roof clear off. Back here on the C-post, they're going to continue that cut with the Sawzall. As you can see, they're going to have to continue to hold up on that side because it's structurally not going to support the roof now. As you can see, there we do have multiple tools that can do the same, perform the same type of job. If we were to happen to have a system failure or something, we do have backup tools. Once they get the B-post off, we'll take the roof right off the car. Right now the seat belts are actually fastened to that C-post in the back. You're going to have to cut the seat belts in order to release the roof. As you can see, Josh is still inside, making sure her neck stays stabilized and doesn't move. That's the most important thing, is patient care while we're going through all this. Now we're going to start extricating her out of there. We'll backboard her, put her on the stretcher. What we don't want her to do is try to move on her own. We want to try to just let her sit relaxed and let the guys do all the work to get her out. They'll slide the backboard under between her and the seat and try to just rotate her back on a backboard and slide her up so that we do very little movement. We work really well with our EMS providers in the area. Most of them are actually trained firefighters and rescue technicians also, not just paramedics and EMTs. As you can see, in one solid motion, they slide her right up. They'll fasten her down to the board and then put her on the stretcher. The biggest thing for anybody that's involved in an accident is to just stay calm, let the guys do their job. That they do it every day a lot of times. Bullskin Fire Company as a whole runs over 100 vehicle accidents a year. EMS is probably running way more than that, and you know, this is just, they know exactly what they're doing. So they'll take her off into the ambulance. They can assess her to see whether or not they're going to go by ground or by air. As you can see, it's a team effort from the start to the finish. Okay, right now we're going to perform a dash roll. As you can see on our spreaders, we've changed the tips out. Most cases you get a high impact front end crash, the car has a tendency to want to buckle in the middle, putting the dash and the steering column actually on the patient, the occupant's legs. In turn, pinching their, what he's doing now, he's given the vehicle, they did it to the other side also with the tool, a buckle point, a point where it's going to pivot so that it will lift the dash up off the legs. We can actually put the nose of the car on the ground and the front tires right off the, that'll actually pull them off the ground. Hey Brown, I think if you pinch the bottom, you get a little groove. If you pinch the bottom, you get a little bit of a groove. What he needs to do, it's not wanting to stay. This is a little bit more of a technical type of rescue. A lot of times you run into. He's just trying to make a spot so that the tool will bite on whenever he goes to roll it. As you can see Chad on the other side, you can see it starting to lift up. You can see how much access we can actually gain to somebody. Now it ought to start to go. You can just see the area underneath, but a lot of times that's all crushed in to where you have to do this in order to get somebody out. That just opens up a lot of area. A lot of times the floor pans will actually be rolled up around maybe the occupant's feet, or they're wrapped up in the fuel pedal and everything. Sheer power of those tools are just mind-boggling.
Okay, this time our patient's been extricated. At this time we're going to do a route assessment just to continue our initial assessment. We're going to go from head to toe, palpating everything that we can possibly palpate, looking for deformities, any bleeding, any tenderness, anything that just does not feel right, does not look right. We're looking at the patient's face just to see if she's moving off on pain. We want to come right back up the other side of the body. And we're just going to keep on moving. We're going to start taking vitals at this time. We're going to put her on heart monitor to make sure everything's going good there. Sometimes with accidents, we're trained to definitely check the heart. We're going to do a 12 lead on her. We're going to do everything we possibly do to check all sides of her heart. There's times that she would hit the steering wheel. It may throw her into different heart arrhythmias. So we're going to make sure we do everything. We're going to check her blood pressure, it's high or low. Tells me whether she's either internally bleeding or if everything's stable. Once we get all that done, we're going to make a determination if we're going to fly this patient to a level 1 trauma center, which is either in Presby, which is out of Pittsburgh, or we can go to WVU, which is Ruby Hospital in Morgantown. More than likely, they're going to go to Presby because of the location that we're in. That's going to be our closest flight time, unless it's upon patient's request and we can go elsewhere. This time he's hooking the monitor up to check her heart out. And obviously, if everything checks out and everything's fine and the patient's awake and fully with it, we're going to go local, either Highlands or Uniontown or wherever we are closest to. It could be Westmoreland or Frick, depending on where we are.
You mentioned the two facilities, Presby and West Virginia.
Yes.
Does one specialize in anything, like if would be, say, a burn victim or something?
Well, if
or
you
are they
would,
both about the same?
right, if you would be a burn victim, we'd probably send you to Mercy because they specialize in burns.
Okay.
Or West Penn, which would be the two local burn centers that specialize in that. We're talking about Presby or Ruby because they are a specialized trauma center. There's different series. There's level 1s, level 2s, and then nothing. The nothing is like your basic hospital like Highlands, Frick, Uniontown. The level 2s are like Forbes and other local regional hospitals such as at Westmoreland. They're going to do a little bit more for you, but not like Presby or Ruby. They're going to go all out. They have all the specialists on call, if not on duty already, to be able to do head scans, x-rays, anything imaginable to treat any injuries that you have. Whether you have any bones sticking out, any broken bones, any sprained ankles, sprained wrist, whatever.
They can do a lot of the interventional stuff, like if there's any kind of spinal trauma, head injury, anything with your brain or that, they can actually go in and internally fix the problem.
Oh, okay. And you had mentioned too, do you actually ask the patient if they have a preference if they're going local? Because you had said something about if they want to go local.
Well, if you're cautious and with it, I mean, it all is determined on the injuries and everything that we find.
And getting you there probably as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible. We have what is called a golden hour. We need to have everything, all your intervention is done within an hour. That's your best chances of recovery.
Oh, okay.
And that golden hour starts when you hit a tree or wreck or whatever the case may be.
The clock starts then.
The clock starts then. So you got to take that time into consideration. What kind of road? Are you on your back road where nobody found you for a half hour? Now we're down a half hour. By the time they go through the process of calling 911, dispatching the ambulance, fire department, police departments, us getting on scene, our golden hour just went down to 15 minutes now. So in a matter of about 6 or 8 minutes, I need to make a decision. Then I need to find a helicopter that's within the other next 5 minutes to be able to fly you out. It all takes into consideration. Then we also have standing protocols. If we're within 45 minutes of a trauma center, we can take you by ground as long as you don't need a level higher of care and you're stable. So there's a lot of variation that go into it.
Sure, like I said, there's no such thing as an average or a typical accident.
Right.
like if we take you out of that car and you're unconscious, I mean, that pretty much if you're unconscious, we can't get you to respond and talk to us whatsoever. That's like an automatic. It takes 2 seconds for us to make a decision.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. You know, and sometimes it takes, like you said, 2 seconds. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes.
Yep.
But within the first 5 minutes, we know if we're going to send you local or if you're going to go downtown somewhere.
And do you then you'll be making those arrangements, as you said, like as they're working?
Yes.
Okay.
We contact our medical director and let them know what we have, and then we're going to put a helicopter in the air, or we're going to go local. So normally when he's working with you in the car like he was today, I'd be, talking to him. Communication's a big key between the partnership on the ambulance, and we're either going to be on the phone with the doctors, or we're going to make that decision ourselves, depending on how critical you are.
Was that you in the car with him?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
So, like I said, a lot of variations. There's nothing normal. There's nothing that's going to be. It's never the same thing.
Okay.
So
you guys have to be prepared for anything, anytime.
Anything, everything, all times of the days.
Are you down with me? Because you're not sticking any needles.
Oh yes.
No needles today.
Okay.
Okay, we good, guys?
Yep.
All right.
You guys are good?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, folks, there you have it. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope it was interesting and educational for all of you out there. We do want to point out that what they did was pretty much in slow motion. Usually in an accident scene, they do what they did a lot quicker. They will be treating the patient actually inside the car if treatment is necessary. But I wanted to point out, I found it very interesting. Josh stayed in the car with me. He had his hand on my shoulder. He talked to me. He told me what they were going to be doing. Very, very comforting because they do want you to stay as calm as you possibly can. Kyle also told us too that they actually carry stuffed animals and stuff like that if there are children involved. Just some small type of comfort that they can offer to keep everybody just as comfortable and maybe as calm as possible. I take my hat off to these guys. This is just fabulous. Accidents don't happen in a parking lot like this. They happen over banks, they happen in trees, they happen in streams. These guys, they react, they're there, not necessarily under a beautiful spring sky, rain, snow, any season at all. It's just amazing. And again, thank you. Do what you can to support your local guys. They're doing this 24/7, and it's amazing. I want to give a big thanks to everybody who was here today and helped with the show. Kyle Quinn and Brad Jalot and Tom Kendai, thank you. They're the gentlemen that were on camera and spoke with you folks. We also had Bobby Camilli, Chris Brown, Ryan Brown, Jeff Prinky, Dave Brown, Chad McLaughlin, Danny Gearing, Bob Camilli, Renee Kendai, Tom Jones, Sean Peck, and Rick Quinn, and our wonderful gentleman from Fayette EMS who came and spent the morning with us. We had paramedic Josh Hodgkiss and EMT Trey Reckenberg. Thank you to them and to everybody from Fayette EMS and Bullskin Township Volunteer Fire Department. Again, folks, we hope you learned a little bit from this. It's easier said than done, but if you're in an accident, stay calm. These folks are going to do what they do best. They're going to do as quickly as they can to treat you as best they can. So again, we hope you enjoyed the show. And remember, keep smiling, keep dreaming, and please keep watching.
Armstrong local programming features our community like no one else. Meet your friends and neighbors at special events. Find the perfect pet. Celebrate our region's rich history or enjoy our natural wonders. Armstrong local programming is available online, on demand, and on your local Armstrong channel. Find the complete program schedule at ArmstrongOneWire.com. Local programming exclusively from Armstrong. One Wire, infinite possibilities.